She had never ridden a bike before. But the road looked at her like it had been waiting. She arrived in a small dusty town with no particular plan. She walked into it the way she had been walking into everything lately. Slowly. With her eyes open. She stopped at a small chai stall and ordered tea. The tea was strong and sweet and perfect. She sat and watched the town move around her. Nobody was in a hurry here. And then she saw it. Standing in the middle of that dusty street like it had been waiting for someone. Like it had been waiting for her specifically. She put down her chai. And walked toward it. She ran her hand along the side of it. The metal was warm from the morning sun. She had never wanted to ride a motorcycle before. But standing beside this one. She wanted to more than she had ever wanted anything. She found the owner of the bike in a small garage beside the chai stall. She asked him if she could rent it. He raised an eyebrow. She gave him her best smile. He handed her the keys. She stood there for a moment holding the keys. They were heavier than she expected. The old mechanic spent 20 minutes showing her the basics. Clutch. Gear. Throttle. Brake. The first attempt was not graceful. The second attempt was marginally better. The third attempt she almost fell off entirely. The old mechanic laughed. But kindly. The way someone laughs when they see themselves in someone else. He showed her again. This time more slowly. She tried again. And again. And somewhere around the seventh attempt. Something clicked. She felt it before she understood it. The bike stopped fighting her. And started listening. She thanked the mechanic. She put her backpack on. And she rode out of that dusty town onto the open highway. And the road opened up in front of her. The road ahead was straight and empty and endless. The wind was loud. It pushed against her face and pulled her hair back. And for one perfect moment, she forgot every single thing that had ever worried her. She rode for hours. She never wanted to stop. The road gave her something she hadn't expected. Not direction. Not destination. Silence. The kind of silence you can only find when everything around you is moving. She stopped at a small roadside stall in the late afternoon. She took off her helmet. Her hair was completely wild. She didn't care even a little bit. She ran her fingers through it. And laughed at herself. An old man sat outside the stall on a plastic chair. He looked like he had been sitting there for 40 years. And intended to sit there for 40 more. She sat beside him. He asked her where she was going. She told him she didn't know. Wherever the road takes me. The old man smiled. And said the best journeys never do. She sat with those words for a moment. The best journeys never do. She wrote it in her journal before she left. Late afternoon she found a road that climbed up into the hills. She followed it without thinking. The road ended at the edge of a cliff. Below it the world dropped away into something enormous. She stood at the edge and looked at it all. Valley after valley. Hill after hill. All of it vivid and enormous and indifferent to her worries. She felt small. In the best possible way. Like all her fears were too tiny to matter against something this large. She sat on the bike at the edge of the cliff and did not move for a long time. And then she took a long, slow breath. And she was ready to ride again. As she rode back down from the hills, she saw something on the horizon. She stopped the bike. And stared at the horizon. The landscape was changing. The green was giving way to gold. To dust. To something vast and dry and ancient. She took out her journal. She wrote one word. There. She had heard about the Thar Desert. About the roads there that go on forever. About what happens to people who ride into it alone. She pointed the bike toward the horizon. And smiled. Because the desert was next. And she was ready. She had never ridden a bike before today. And now she cannot imagine not riding one. That is what happens when you say yes to something terrifying. It stops being terrifying. And starts being yours. If this episode gave you even a small push towards something you have been avoiding, then this series is doing exactly what it was made to do. Subscribe for episode 5. Because she is about to ride into the desert. And the desert is about to show her something she was not prepared for.